thought we would just start off with the question. So hit us.
I'm gonna kill Aquaman and destroy everything he holds dear.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
If I'd known I was going to have to sit through an Aquaman trailer, I might not have done this. I remember someone talking about Aquaman being the lamest of the superheroes. Like, so Superman flies around and says, I'll fly around the world and turn back time. Batman, you go do this. Aquaman, you go talk to some fish.
Well, no, but see, the modern DCEU, may it rest in peace because they're rebooting it, but the DCEU version of Aquaman is like Khal Drogo plus talking to fish. And so
he is handsome man.
And super strength, very cool. I mean, to look at that, what's not to love about that trailer? It's everything you love about Aquaman, completely over the top.
And everything you love about Aquaman includes what?
Sharks with lasers mounted on them, fantastical CGI generated underground or underwater cities, wildly over the top villains. It's the kind of movie. So there's a couple of kinds of superhero movies, Kevin, that are really transcendent. One kind is the Nolan Batman trilogy, where that superhero movie as a film, like just serious cinematic movie making. Also the Snyderverse at its best was like that. That's one kind. Lean into, as Sonny Bunch said, the what if the gods were real sort of construct. That's one way.
I like that about Watchmen.
Right.
They've got financial problems and marital troubles and stuff.
Right, exactly. And then the other version is, let's just lean into, this is absurd. And that's Thor, Love and Thunder, for example, is one of the really good examples. And Aquaman is sort of the peak of that, because I remember watching it, really enjoying it. And then at one point in the first Aquaman movie, Jason Momoa and Amber Heard are flying over the desert. And then there comes on Pitbull's version of Toto's Africa. And I was like, I know what this is. This is just leaning in to the craziness, the insanity. And it was glorious. That's what you have to do. You got to walk into Aquaman and say they're leaning into the insanity, the implausibility, and it's just glorious.
I didn't know there was a Pitbull version of Toto's Africa, but I approve without even hearing it. But here's a question for you. I don't like taking a programmatically political approach to entertainment. I think it's foolish. I wrote about this some actually in a recent newsletter. But that being said, like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies are like self-consciously conservative.
Right.
The Daniel Craig Bond movies are self-consciously conservative, don't you think?
Ones I've seen.
The old ways are the best ways of doing things, all the paeans to patriotism and tradition and all that stuff. They seem to have been made in an almost self-consciously conservative way. That's always interesting to me because give or take a few people here and there, Hollywood is not full of people who are self-consciously conservative. They aren't, dispatch readers. They don't have autographed first editions of Hayek at home, that sort of thing. But on the one hand, you've got the issue of timeless truths always being sort of conservative. And so that's why Shakespeare reads conservative to me. It probably didn't in the Elizabethan era, but it does now. And but I wonder about Nolan, and I wonder about some of those other guys, about whether they kind of sat through the post 9/11 years and the Bush administration and some of the anti-war stuff with Iraq, and kind of maybe just steeped in that stuff for a little bit and turned out this product that is, from their context, countercultural.
Yeah. I mean, Dark Knight and both Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, to me, both coded really countercultural. The first Batman, the first Nolan Batman, just struck me as an origin story more than anything else, and certainly was, when you had the vigilante elements that he was taking on, sort of, anti-vigilante, but from a vigilante, it was really, I love the movie. It was, I couldn't tell which direction it went. It was just a great movie, but definitely Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, as I watched them, watching them during War on Terror era, they felt quite conservative to me.
Some real anti-French Revolution stuff in there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. If you were all in on Occupy Wall Street, that was not you. Dark Knight Rises was not your movie.
No, I don't think so. Is there anything else like that you can think of recently?
That's a really
increasingly means a longer period of time for me, I find, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good question. I have been a volume consumer of streaming television ever since the pandemic, so it's sometimes kind of hard to separate one British crime drama from the next. But, I have seen some I just finished watching Silo on Apple TV Plus, which was really good. But if you want a movie that really, a series, and this isn't a movie, but this is a series, and nobody watched it, nobody saw it, it came highly recommended to me, that is one of the more poignant, in many ways, beautiful meditations on family, on trauma, on loss, on justice. All of that is a show called Rectify. That was when I think it was the Sundance Channel decided it was going to enter into the streaming wars with this prestige drama. And it turns out that nobody apparently had the Sundance Channel, but this drama called Rectify, strongly, highly recommend it. It's one of those shows that's really stuck with me. In addition to the one that most recently has really stuck with me is the one, everyone's talking about, The Bear, which is just a beautiful TV show.
Yeah, it's funny. There are shows that are conservative in their way, and including ones that were not intended to be, like The Wire, obviously.
Right.
And then there are shows that, like, a lot of conservatives that aren't really in any way sort of conservative, like Yellowstone comes to mind for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which I guess the valorization of kind of rural life and being a rancher and that stuff.
And I would say about The Bear, watch The Bear through if you watch The Bear through self-consciously Christian lens, there are a lot of really powerful Christian themes there that are presented in a way about reconciliation, about grace, about forgiveness, about the sort of the gathering of the notion. Did you ever see the movie Babette's Feast years ago? Mm-hmm. Big favorite of sort of evangelical audiences. And I mean, if you can call, what is it, a Danish subtitled movie, a big favorite, but lots of people, lots of Christian folks talk about it. The Bear reminds me of that with 7,000% more F-bombs.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Black Mirror. You a Black Mirror guy?
I've seen one episode.
Was it
the robot dogs?
That's the only one you saw.
That's the only one I've seen.